Welcome to the Board of Clermont County Commissioners meeting for July the 31st, 2024. We're glad you're here. Prior to starting or officially starting a commissioners meeting, we always ask local clergy if they will come in and lead us in prayer. This morning we have Pastor Travis Berkey, Causadale Baptist Church. Pastor, the podium is yours. Would you lead us in prayer?
So thank you. Let's pray. Father, thank you for another day. Thank you for a beautiful day. And thank you for the rain this morning. Need it. And God, I just pray for your wisdom with our commissioners. I pray to you just give them your discretion, your wisdom, your guidance, Lord, that all things might be done decently and in order. And Father, I just thank you, Lord, for each and every one that's here today to serve their community. I pray you just give them wisdom. And God, just guide this meeting. And we thank you, God, for your goodness to us. And in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And to officially start our meeting, we always start that meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Commissioner Corcoran, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now call this meeting to order. We will start off with the prepared agenda. The first order of business is the approval of regular session minutes of 7/24/24. Board, I know you've had these.
Can I interrupt you?
Sure, go ahead.
Can we recognize the young gentleman that came in this morning?
Absolutely.
Who's
just-
the crew here?
These guys are
Come on up.
Come on up. Come on up.
Sorry, I was.
No.
We didn't
it's
want
fine.
to exit without Come on
No.
up, guys. You got to sit here and be bored for a while, so we're gonna say hello. What's going on?
These guys, every Wednesday, they volunteer from our church, and they travel. We call it Wednesday Workday with Pastor. And we go to different widows in our community, and we mow the grass, clean up the yard, plant flowers, whatever jobs that we can do. And so they do that. They volunteer every Wednesday, and they do that in our community. So today we just had a pit stop here before we hit it. So they're with me.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thanks for being here. Tell these folks here in attendance who you are.
Good. Start in front. Just tell me your name.
You actually.
Cody Chandler.
Micah Sleep,
Caleb.
Titus Schwartz,
Logan Powell. Colby Huggins.
and Schwartz.
And if they would kind of move right along here, we'll have
Get a
David.
picture.
We'll have David take a picture.
Down this way a little bit.
Yes,
We are glad you guys are here. You bet.
What great work.
Get the widescreen, David.
Yeah, that worked out pretty good. All right, we'll go in 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
guys.
being here
Thank
today.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Corcoran. We will move to item number B, which is the approval of regular session minutes of July 24th, 2024. Board, I know you've had these regular minutes, had an opportunity to review them. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion to approve. I will second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Next item is item C. We have a proclamation for designation of August 24th as Child Support Awareness Month in Clermont County. And I understand that Teresa Ellison is here to accept this proclamation. You want to come up here next to me? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proclamation for Child Support Awareness Month in Clermont County, August 24th, 2024. Whereas presenting and support go hand in hand in ensuring children grow up safe and healthy, and children and families stay out of poverty. Our children are our most precious resource, and by investing in them, we secure a future of hope and opportunity for all of us. Whereas ensuring that children receive the support they deserve involves working partnerships between county, state, and federal agencies, parents, legislators, judges, healthcare professionals, advocacy groups, and many others. One of those I would just emphasize real quick was parents.
Correct.
No question. Whereas more than 10,300 Clermont County families benefited from more than $30 million in child support monies collected in fiscal year 2023. And whereas the vision of Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services Division of Child Support is that children can count on both parents for the financial, medical, and emotional support that they need to be healthy, and successful. Whereas the purpose and the mission of Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services Division of Child Support are to ensure that the well-being of children by assuring that assistance in obtaining support, including financial and medical, is available to children by locating parents, establishing paternity, establishing support obligations, monitoring, and enforcing those obligations. Whereas during Child Support Awareness Month, we all recognize all parents who are deeply committed to the success of their children. Our children's lives count enough to make every possible effort to ensure that a solid foundation is established for every child in Clermont County. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that we, the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, do hereby declare the month of August 24th as Child Support Awareness Month. And it's signed by myself, Claire Corcoran, Commissioner and Vice President, and Bonnie Batchelor, Commissioner. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I would like to present you this certificate
Great.
on behalf of the Clermont County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I didn't expect this many people to be here this morning. My name is Teresa Ellison, and I'm the Assistant Director for the Department of Job and Family Services Child Support Division. I wanted to say thank you to the commissioners for recognizing August as Child Support Awareness Month. Our staff works so very hard to serve the families of the community, and I'm extremely proud of their accomplishments. In fiscal year 2023, Clermont County CSEA received the following awards from our state office for our performance. These are all in the large caseload category: Best Arrears, Best Paternity, Most Improved Arrears, Most Improved Paternity, and Best Overall Performance. These awards would not be possible without the support of the BCC and of all our county partners, including both Domestic and Juvenile Court, the Prosecutor's Office, the Court of Common Pleas, the Probation Offices, and the Clerk of Courts. Serving the families of Clermont County is a wonderful position to be in, as you all know, and we will take time this August to recognize all the amazing parents, caretakers, and family members who support their children both emotionally and financially. As we move forward, it's my hope that we continue to provide the very best services to the families of our county. And we're also asking that community members wear green on August 7th, 2024, to recognize August as Child Support Awareness Month. Green is our color. It doesn't stand for money, but some people have made that connection before. But I really appreciate your support, and thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Great job. Thank you.
Board, we are going to move up Section J for staff elected official discussions. I understand Chris McClintock and Desmond Maytalk, Department of Community Development and Economic Development, Homeless Coalition Board update.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think Chris looked like he was in a meeting and looked like an important meeting, so he's not here right now. I'm Desmond Mayata, Community Development Administrator here. Recently, we received a request to have a commissioner or their designee to represent the Board of Commissioners on a newly created Clermont County Housing and Homeless Coalition Board. I believe the first meeting will be in September for this board. Billy Kuntz with Clermont County Community Services has taken the lead on creation of this board. She's had informal meetings with homeless partners for about a year with stakeholders, but she wanted to create a more formal board to try to work together on homeless and housing issues within the county, helping to leverage funding, support, and advocacy. I provided you with a diagram of what Billy sent to us with the request to the commissioners. The board will have 19 seats, including one for a county commissioner or their representative. Other seats include a township trustee, a mayor, GCBH, Child Focus, Metropolitan Housing, first responder, first responder, and other providers that help the homeless with programs such as mental health and addiction services. So I discussed with Angie the request and the commissioners informally. I'm glad to represent the commissioners on this board if you so choose. Our department already reports to HUD on homeless issues with our annual plan, action plan, and our 5-year consolidated plan. So we do feel we'd be in a position to sit on the board if you so choose. We do think having all the players at the table on this new board will be beneficial for the county, as we do certainly have homeless issues in the county. It'll be a good step to better serve the homeless. So we're not recommending any action today from the board. We just wanted to bring it to your attention, see if you have any questions, and to just think about how you might want to be represented on this board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
None?
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You gave it to us in advance too, information about it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Tom, did we have any other staff elected official?
Yeah, I want to have Angie Levesey and Jessica Powell give us an update on the animal shelter.
Good morning, Angie Levesey, Deputy Assistant County Administrator. I am here to share some updates about the operations of the animal shelter. Commissioners, as you know, I have largely relocated my office space. I am now in the kennel about 75% of the time. I do come back here, obviously, for these kinds of meetings. This has given me a really great opportunity as I act in the manager role until we fill that position to see the things that are working well and see the areas where we can make some improvements. One of the areas where I think we are working really well, and I don't want to lose this, we have some really, really hardworking staff. I have offered many times to help them, and frankly, they run circles around me. So that offer stands if I can actually be helpful for them. One of the most pressing issues is increasing staffing. As you all know, hiring processes are hard, private or publicly. As of right this second, we have 2 kennel techs starting in August, one on August 5th and one on August 19th. Unfortunately, a lot of things can happen between now and then on their end or ours, but I remain hopeful. And I also have, I believe, 5 interviews coming up this week to continue to fill these positions. This is my highest priority for the kennel right now. The other thing I really wanted to point out is that our capacity remains very high, despite our best efforts to reduce that. I am prepared to ask the board about considering temporarily reducing adoption fees, and I can prepare some paperwork if you are interested in that. I'm going to meet with staff tomorrow to give them some updates, try to keep them in the loop as much as I can on things, and also to see how else we can support them. I really want to make sure we're taking really good care of them. As I've said, they're working really, really hard, and we do have staff shortage right now. So they need all the support they can get, and I'm trying very hard to provide that for them.
Good. Hi, board. Jessica Powell, Assistant County Administrator for Procurement. I'm also over facilities, and I'm here to address about the facility issues that we have over at the animal shelter. We've got a plan together to do a few different things here. The first one is the sunshade for the outdoor play area. We are working on getting the permits to get that installed. Next week, we plan to obtain the equipment and get the supplies to install the sunshade. We have 6x6s we got to get into the ground to hold it up. And then within the next 2 weeks, we should have that installed and up and ready. So that way the whole play area is, or most of the play area is covered up. So I believe they had the sunshades actually donated to us. So we're just trying to get that up and ready to go for them. So the next one is the kennel upgrades. We have finally gotten under contract, or I'm sorry, we're finishing up the contract currently at this time. We worked with the vendor in our legal department to iron out some of the issues that we had with the contract, and we're looking to hopefully get the architect's contract executed this week. At latest, it'd probably be next week as long as everything goes well. So the last one is the washer and dryer.
Jessica, real quick, but the architect is for what project?
Sorry, that's for the kennel upgrades, for the kennel extensions to add the kennels.
The enclosures.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody realized it was for the enclosures.
Sorry.
And they're under the pressure to know we need this done to get those contracts.
That's why
approved.
I got involved with the contract to make sure that we got it ironed out here.
So just for clarification, that contract is for which project?
That's for the outdoor kennels to add the I believe it's 60 outdoor, is it 30 or 60? 60 outdoor kennels to the exterior, so that way they can actually move the dogs out, so that way they can clean the indoor kennels in order to be able to not have the dogs in there while they're cleaning the kennels.
And so just so people know, changes in the procurement system in county procurement has resulted in an outdoor kennel extension that you used to be able to call up a couple of fencing contractors, have them come out and take a look at, pencil you a sketch, give you a price, and go back and evaluate that price and say, okay, you're the low most responsive bidder, go put the kennels in, is resulting in this project being considered a public improvement and requiring a full architectural contract that has to be not only approved by our office, but approved by the county prosecutor's office, which seems to be a holdup in this county of everything we go to do because of these new things. And that's why it's taking so long. In other words, something that I used to be able to procure through our administrator in a couple of days is taking months and 6 months at a time. And that is unacceptable. You know, they have to find a way to provide an emergency procurement so we don't have to go through this rhetoric every time we want to get some work done.
And that's
You know?
every project that we try to do.
It's ridiculous, and it's bringing this county to a halt, and it's just obstructing the business that this board of commissioners can actually do.
We're working on it, and we're working on getting.
Not your fault. Not your fault. I want to put fault where fault's due. So if we want to move these things quicker, by all means, call the prosecutor's office and tell him you need it done faster.
Well, we're getting that one fixed up and hopefully approved this week. Not a problem. And then the washer and dryer, the facilities department, we have the room set out where we want the washer and dryer. However, there were a lot of repairs that need to be done to the walls. It looked like it just needed to be repaired before we put something new in there and proceed. So facilities has finished that up, so that way we can install the higher capacity washer and dryer. But the combo dryer seems to have helped with the capacity issue for our laundry at this point in time. So just to give you a heads up, that combo washer and dryer has really helped out at this point. So, and that's all the projects I have for
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Ben.
you.
Can I ask a question? I've been a volunteer at the shelter for over a year now, so I'm very familiar with the area. You mentioned you're going to build 60 outdoor kennels.
I believe so.
Where on that property can you position 60 outdoor kennels with the land that we have?
It's supposed to go where the outdoor kennels are currently. It just extends out further into the grassy space.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else for?
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Angie.
Thanks,
Okay.
For your
Angie.
work.
Thank you. Our next portion of the agenda is presentation by Lyle Bloom, the Director of Utilities and Water Resources.
Lyle, I didn't see you back there. For a minute, I thought maybe he's not here. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I am presenting our 5-year capital improvement plan. This is a plan that we update annually. It projects our water and sewer projects that we have projected for the next 5 years, so 2024 through 2028. Before I jump too far into it, we also have Chris Rowland, who's the Assistant Sanitary Engineer, and he manages the construction engineering department for us, and majority of these projects fall under his purview. And then Karen Myers is also here. She's our fiscal administrator, and she manages our funds and helps prepare our source of funding to make sure that we have the money to build all these projects. Can I control it from here? All right, perfect. All right, so first I'm just going to talk about our waterworks capital plan. We do have 71 projects listed in that total $71.1 million. Included in that are 9 water tank rehabilitation projects, 29 water main replacement projects, 9 water main extension or capacity improvement projects, 5 petition or assessment projects, and then 11 treatment plant improvement projects. I'm not going to go over all these projects. I'm just going to touch on some of the projects we have planned in the next couple years, big projects that the public may be interested in. So our water tank rehabilitation projects for 2025. So next year we plan to paint our buckwheat tank, which is a 2 million gallon tank near the intersection of 131 and Buckwheat Road. Our Day Heights tank, which is over by Milford High School, and I've got that pictured on the screen. And then our Miamiville tank, which I think it's one of our smallest tanks, but I think it'll be one of my favorite to paint. It's right on 275 as you're coming from Loveland into Clermont County. It's right there, and everyone sees it as they drive down 275. So those are scheduled to be painted next year. We're going to start the inspection and evaluation process next year then on the Booster 3 tank, which is near McCormick Elementary, our Owensville tank, and our State Route 131 tank, with plans to paint those in 2027. And if anyone's interested, we have recently painted a few tanks. I've got a couple shown here. Our Summit tank, which is up off Old 32, and our Afton tank. Those were painted last year, I believe, correct? Yes. Total estimated cost for the projects we have listed here for 25 and 27 is $5.4 million. Water main replacement projects. I'm going to go through a bunch of those because we do have a very aggressive water main replacement program to try to replace some of our aging infrastructure. First is our Amelia Olive Branch water main replacement. That'll replace the water main along Amelia Olive Branch from Clough Pike up to Old 74. It's about 7,500 feet of 1954 8-inch water main that we'll be replacing with 12-inch. We're going to begin design this year and plan to construct that in 2025 through 2026. It's got an estimated cost of $1.9 million, and that's also being done to coordinate with the county's paving program as well. So we're trying to get that replaced before they put down new pavement. The next is the Chapel Road water main replacement. This will replace along Chapel Road from State Route 125, about almost 1,500 feet then east of Amelia Park Drive. So the majority of Chapel Road will be replaced. It's almost 5,000 feet of 6-inch water main that was installed in 1954. We'll be replacing that with 12-inch. Begin design this year, and then again construct in 25 and 26 with an estimated cost of $1.2 million. That's also in coordination with paving plans. More water main replacement projects. White Oak Road Phase 1. That's Beheimer Road to Merwin 10 Mile. We're going to replace just over 5,000 feet of 1954 12-inch. We'll be upgrading that to 16-inch. We just opened bids. So we're going to start construction later on this year with completion scheduled for April of 2025. Our estimated cost was $3.2 million. The low bid on that was actually $200,000 less than our estimate. So our costs should go down on that once it's all said and done. And then phase 2 of that will replace the rest of the water main on White Oak. That would be from Merwin 10 Mile east all the way to 125. That's about 5,600 feet of the 1954 12-inch. We'll be replacing with 16-inch. We do plan to submit that project for Ohio Public Works Commission funding to hopefully get some grant funds to reduce the capital costs. It's currently under design. We plan to begin construction in 2025 and wrap it up in 2026, and that's got an estimated cost of $3.5 million. More water main replacements. These are up in Miami Township. The first is the Branch Hill Guinea Road water main replacement project. That's from Branch Hill, Miamiville, all the way down to Loveland, Miamiville. This should replace all the remaining 1950s water main that we have along Branch Hill Guinea. It's about 9,000 feet of 10-inch. We'll be increasing that to 12-inch. And then we're going to replace about 230 feet of 8-inch that's along Winfield Drive. Just at that entrance to that subdivision, we've had a lot of main breaks right in that one section of water main. We plan to begin construction this year on that and complete it next year. And that has an estimated cost of $3.4 million. Next, along Branch Hill, Miamiville Road. This project's actually been bid out. We're under contract. The contractor should be starting soon. That's from Front Street down in Miamiville up to our Booster 1 water booster station, which is just inside the I-275 loop. That's almost 9,000 feet of water main that we'll be replacing with 12-inch. And Construction will begin, we plan to begin this September, estimated cost of $3.5 million. And we do have over $1.4 million in Ohio Public Works Commission grant funding to help offset those costs. And then the second phase of Branch Hill Miamiville water main is from our booster one, then continuing north up to Branch Hill Guinea. That's about 5,900 feet of 1950s water main we'll be replacing with 12-inch. It's under design. We'll begin construction next year and complete in 2026. It's got an estimated cost of $2.4 million and includes $1 million in OPWC funding. I'll talk about it later. We've also got a sewer project in that same vicinity, so we need to get that project done before we start that water main replacement project. In Goshen Township, we have the Fay Road water main replacement. That's Thoroughbred Drive to Nancard. We'll also be replacing the water mains on Earl Drive and Nancard Drive. It's just over 5,700 feet of 1950s. We'll be upgrading that to 12-inch and 8-inch water main. We hope to begin construction this year and complete in 2025. It's got an estimated cost of $950,000. And then we just had a main break out there July 19th. So I went out and took a quick photo just to show that's one of the reasons why we're out there replacing these water mains. Let's see, we have Old 32 in Union Township. I'm sorry, this is in Batavia Township. We're going to replace from just west of Zagar Road to Half Acre Road. It's about 4,300 feet of 1968 10-inch. We're going to be upgrading that to 16-inch. It's under design. We plan to begin construction in 25 and complete in 2026. It's got an estimated cost of $1.8 million. This is, although it's an older water main, we don't have a lot of issues with main breaks there. A lot of this is the main need for this project is to help convey water to the Afton area with the increased development that we're seeing in that area. And in Union Township, Old 74 water main replacement project, that's going to replace on both sides of 275 along Old 74. So from Elmont all the way to Eastgate Boulevard. We're going to replace that 1950s 8-inch with 12-inch water main. It's under design. We'll begin construction next year. It's got an estimated cost of $1.3 million. And then Rumpke Road, we're replacing a lot of the 1950s or all the 1950s water main that's in that area. A lot of it is 6-inch. The 6-inch down Rumpke Road, we're going to increase that to 12-inch, and then all the 6-inch that's on the side streets will be increased to 8-inch. We do have about 1,000 feet of 1961 that's the water main that we're going to replace with 8-inch that we've had a lot of breaks on. We actually have a crew out there working this morning on Rumpke next to Danny Drive that they're actually working on a main break there this morning. So some of our water main extensions and capacity improvements. So we have the Afton Drive water main loop. It's going to be about 1,800 feet of new 12-inch water main. There's currently an existing 12-inch water main there that was just put in a few years ago for that commercial development or industrial development. With the planned additional improvements or wet Purina treatment plant there, they're going to need a lot more water. So they're planned to install another parallel water main to meet that water demand. That's under design. Construction is scheduled for 25, but that may be delayed based on Purina's plans for their construction. And that's got an estimated cost of $526,000. Next is the buckwheat transmission main. So this is a project that's always been in our project, and it's essentially to get water from our Bob McEwen water treatment plant up to where the demand is. And we call it the buckwheat transmission main because it intended to go from our treatment plant all the way up to near the buckwheat tank in Miami Township. We're just going to build one phase of this, and a lot of it is to meet anticipated demand in that area. It's a 30-inch main, about 19,000 feet of new 30-inch water main. We're under design, or we plan to begin design this year and then construct in 26 and 27. And that's got an estimated cost of $8.1 million. The next project is the Harold Road water main loop that will It's about 6,600 feet of 12-inch water main from the dead end in Streamside subdivision to Vista Meadows. It's going to basically connect two dead end water mains. It's under design. We plan to begin construction on 25 and complete in 26. And that has an estimated cost of $1.9 million. And then those properties along Harold Road that currently don't have water, they would then have access to public water as part of that. All right, the next down in Pierce Township is a 9-mile Bradbury transmission main. It's about 9,200 feet of 12-inch. We plan to begin construction this year. We're real close to going out to bid on that and complete next year. It's got an estimate of $4.2 million. This will provide increased fire flow and meet increased water demands in the Cherry Grove area, and then also serve properties along 9 Mile that currently do not have access to public water. So funding. Through the next 5 years, we have planned improvements that total $71.1 million. Available funding right now is $58.6 million. That includes our grant funds through OPWC that we've already been awarded, $2.84 million, and almost $2 million in American Rescue Plan Act funding. So we're still about $12.5 million underfunded. This does not include any future grants or loans that we might receive. We're pretty good about getting OPWC grants. Any TIF funds for some of the improvements in the Afton area. So some of the new development that's going in, those properties may have tax increment financing, and those funds can help to pay for some of the capital projects that we have to improve our water and sewer system in those areas. Increased revenue from large users. So if I just threw some numbers together, if we have a new customer that's going to use 1 million gallons a day, that's going to generate over $1.7 million in additional water revenue that will help to, now we're going to have increased operational costs as well with that, but some of those funds can help pay for capital improvements as well.
Hey, Lyle, so since 2022, the board has allocated almost $17 million in ARPA funds towards water sewer projects. I know this is 2024 going forward, which just shows $2 million. Can you just talk a little bit about that impact that those ARPA funds have had on this plan?
Well, you know, the ARPA funds have been great to help offset our capital costs, but really what they've done, part of what they've done is to just help cover the inflation that we've seen. Increased chemical costs, staffing costs, construction costs. We had to rebid projects over and over because our estimates were too low. The state changed their threshold for awarding from 10% to 20% over the engineer's estimate. So although the TIF funds or the ARPA funds have really helped us with our capital planning, it's probably just covering the inflation that we've seen over the past few years.
Thank you.
And Lyle, is it fair to say that most of these costs, when you talk about the $58 million that you already have the cost covered on that, is that cost from generated fees from users' fees in the system, or is that money actually come from other sources?
The majority of these funds for this are from system capacity fees, tap-in fees, and then our user fees, what our water customers pay on their water bill.
I just wanted to make sure people understood that. And how many customers does Clermont County Water Service have?
Close to 50,000.
Okay. So 50,000 customers pay a fee, and that's how these kind of upgrades are really made available.
We're not funded through taxes. We don't get general funds. But then I did mention tax increment financing, so that's offsetting those tax dollars to help pay for.
And the type of a business that this is an enterprise zone, correctly?
It is an enterprise fund, correct. So it's managed like a business.
Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to generate revenue to be able to maintain the system.
Correct.
There you go.
So the last bullet I had there is for our funding sources, it does not include any future rate increases. We've got another rate increase that was approved 4 years ago for next year, but after that we have no approved rate increases. So we'll revisit this. We may continue to have to increase rates to help offset. When our original rate study was done was in 2019, and it projected needed rate increases for the next 5 years. And then 2020 happened, and all the projections and assumptions that were used in that rate model, you pretty much throw them out the door. It didn't assume 20% inflation and all the additional costs that we experienced. So on our wastewater capital plan, I'm still not done. Now we got to talk about sewer. We have 57 projects that total 93.8 million. 18 of those are sewer replacement projects. 13 are lift station projects. That could be a lift station upgrade or actual lift station elimination project. 2 sewer extension projects, 6 sewer petition or assessment projects, and then 8 wastewater treatment plant improvement projects. Some of the sewer replacement projects we're going to be working on, the first is the Hall Run sewer replacement. The first is the downstream section. This is north of Round Bottom Road, right before the sewer enters our Lower East Fork wastewater treatment plant. We're going to need to replace about 2,700 feet of 24-inch, it's about 2,700 feet of 24-inch to 42-inch sewer to replace existing 18-inch and 24-inch sewers that were installed in 1977. So this is the need to replace those is due to capacity. We don't have enough pipe capacity, particularly during heavy rain events, to convey all the wastewater to the treatment plant. We plan to begin design next year and construct in 27, and the estimated cost on that is $2.4 million. Now, I'll talk about this project in a little bit, but we also are going to expand the capacity of the treatment plant. So that expansion has to occur before the sewer replacements are completed as well. The next part of Hall Run, where we're going to replace upstream sections, we'll be replacing about 9,400 feet of sewer. We're going to install 15 to 24-inch sewers to replace 12-inch to 18-inch sewers that were installed in 1965. We'll begin design in 2026 and then construct that in 2028 through 2029 with an estimated cost of $4.7 million. The next is the Backbone Creek sewer replacement. We've been working on this project for several years. It's about 2,200 feet of 24-inch to relocate an existing 18-inch sewer that was installed in 1972. That existing sewer is located, it's right in the stream bank, and it's become exposed over the years. We've done our best to try to protect it with rock protection and stream protection, but the stream continues to erode and expose it. Plus, we need additional capacity there. So we've designed it. It's complete. We have one easement that remains. We've had some trouble getting that. We're working with the prosecutor's office to try to secure that easement. We plan to construct that next year, and it has an estimated cost of $1.8 million. The next is the Hartman Lane sewer replacement. It's on Hartman Lane off of Bower Road. It's about 5,200 feet of 24-inch sewer to replace existing 15-inch and 18-inch sewers that were installed in the 1970s. This will increase capacity for projected additional development further east out 32. It's got an estimated cost of $3.6 million. Legendary Trails sewer replacement. So this is a unique project. It involves almost 6,400 feet of 2-inch to 4-inch low pressure force main and individual grinder pumps, 34 individual grinder pumps for all the homes in the Legendary Trails subdivision. So when this subdivision was developed, it's unique for Clermont County to have this situation. Each home has its own individual drip feed sewer system that they pay a sewer bill, and we operate and maintain those as public sewer. They're essentially septic systems. They've reached their useful life. They're very hard for us to maintain. So our intent is to put in a low pressure force main that each home will have its own pump and pump all their wastewater into this, and that will be pumped to conventional gravity sewer. The design is complete. We plan to begin construction next year. We'd hope to begin construction this year, but we're still working through with a couple property owners to address some of their concerns on the planned improvements. It's got an estimated cost of $1.8 million. See, the next is the O'Bannon Trunk Sewer up in Goshen Township. Phase 1 it's about 13,500 feet of 15-inch and 18-inch sewer to replace existing 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch that was installed in 1982. We'll begin construction. We hope to begin design this year, and construct in 26 and 27. It's got an estimated cost of $4.6 million, and this is strictly for capacity improvement. We've really reached our capacity limit there, and there's a lot of new development that's planned in that area. So some of the lift station projects that we're working on out in Bethel, on the western side of Bethel, we have a large lift station. It's our Bethel lift station that pumps all the wastewater from that Bethel area to sewers on Mount Holly Road, which then convey to our Middle East Fork treatment plant down here on Haskell Lane. We're going to construct, and we get a lot of inflow and infiltration. Rainwater gets into the collection system there. It's not intended to have that, but it happens. It's an older collection system. So we're going to construct a new 1.5 million gallon flow equalization tank. You can kind of see on the screen, we've tried to show what the plans, the round tank there that'll be on the eastern side of the existing lift station. We're going to put some trees in there as well to help screen it from the neighboring property. The design is complete. We plan to begin construction later this year and complete next year. It's got an estimated cost of $6.2 million. The next project is the South Afton 2 lift station. It would be construction of a new 2.6 million gallon a day lift station and force main to pump to the north side of 32. So this would be near the current Purina dry plant. It's really intended to pump wastewater that would be generated by a Purina wet plant and additional industrial development that could happen in that area. The design, it's currently under design. We plan to begin construction in 25 or 26, but that may be delayed. If Purina delays their plans, we're not going to build this until we're assured that they're moving forward with their project. And that has an estimated cost of $3 million. On the wastewater treatment plant projects, this is a project to eliminate an existing package plant. The Arrowhead wastewater treatment plant elimination that's in Miami Township serves the Arrowhead apartments and some other areas or some other properties in that area. It's construction of a new lift station, force main, and about 3,200 feet of sanitary sewer to eliminate that treatment plant that was installed in 1972. It's going to be redirected to our Ward's Corner regional wastewater treatment plant that was built, I want to say back in 2008, around that time. The design's complete. We have 2 easements from one owner that we still need to obtain. Once we get that, we'll be able to bid the project out and construct. So we hope to begin construction this year and complete next year. And that has an estimated cost of $5 million. The next, I mentioned earlier, the Lower East Fork wastewater treatment plant. We're currently under design to expand the capacity of that treatment plant. That would be expanding it from 9 million gallons a day for its rated capacity up to 14 million gallons a day. 14 billion gallons a day, sorry. It's under design. We plan to complete the design in 2025 and then construct in 2026 through 2027. This is a big project. It's got an estimated cost of $15.7 million. The next is our Middle East Fork treatment plant, which is right here at the end of Haskell Lane in the village of Batavia. We have plans to expand that from 7.2 million gallons a day to 11 million gallons a day minimum. It may go larger. We're still evaluating that. We hope to begin design in 2026 and complete in 2027 and construct in 28 and 29. Estimated cost is $20 million, but this is just a $5 million or 5-year plan. So only $7 million of that is within the 5-year window. So we'll be spending beyond that 5 years on this project. Again, some of that may be delayed as we see development, if it happens or not, out 32 with some of the commercial development that could be planned there. Funding. So we have planned improvements that total $93.8 million. Available funding is $70.5 million. So we have a pretty good gap there. It does include over $6.6 million in ARPA funding and a $644,000 USDA grant, which was part of the Newtonsville project that we're still wrapping up spending that money on that project. So we're over $23 million underfunded. Again, actually, this does not include the $3.5 million grant that we were just awarded from Ohio Builds, Ohio Department of Development. The plan was already drafted before we had received that. So you can drop that, what we're underfunded down to about $19.8 million because we we've already received those grant funds. Any future grants, that is not included in our underfunding. TIF funds, we talked about those earlier. We anticipate some TIF revenue to be generated and help pay for some of these capital improvements. And again, increased revenue from large users. A 1 million gallon a day sewer user would generate about 1.8 million per year in additional revenue. And then any future rate increases beyond our planned 2025 rate increase.
And you're going to meet the deadline on all the ARPA to use all that money?
Correct. We're I think we're close to being under construction on all of those.
Great.
That won't be a problem.
Yes, commissioners,
Thank
they have to be
Good.
under contract
Right.
by 2024. And I believe you're under contract with all your, except maybe one project.
Chris, did we award Deerfield Road yet?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
We're-
That was the
then we're
last
good.
one.
so we're under contract.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions?
No, it's just going to cut down on all the water main breaks, isn't it?
Hopefully. There'll be new ones there.
And out of the systems that we have here, what are some of the oldest existing lines that we have?
On the well, I'd say on both water and sewer 1950s. Now, so the Village of Bethel used to have their own collection system and treatment plant. So some of their sewers are probably our oldest. I think those go back into the 40s. So it's 40s and 50s. Those are,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lionel.
Thank you, Lyle.
We will move on with our agenda. The next item is public participation. Is there anyone who would like to participate during public participation? Great. Oh, yeah, okay, okay. Hold on just a second. Let me just hold you up a second. We've reached the public participation section of the agenda. We have offered that to anyone who wants to speak. When you're called on to speak by the board president, please approach the podium, give your name and your address for the record here. And I just want to let you know during this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in a debate. So when everybody leaves here, understand that that's the rules of public participation. It's not that the commissioners don't want to talk to you. So, thank you for all the emails. No member of the public may comment about a matter that is not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibilities. If we can't make the decision here, we can't comment on it or follow up. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board at this time, and each speaker will only speak once and be recognized the board president before speaking. In accordance with the board's rules, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. So if you'd like to be first up, by all means. Podium's yours. Tell us who you are and your address.
My name is Megan. We live at 1151 Chelsea Court.
And you have your whole support team here.
Our whole team. You want to give her your name, please?
My name is Adam.
Your name? Winnie. And your name?
Andy.
Andy.
Nice to see all of you today.
Nice to have you here.
Turn around, then we'll get your face on camera.
Turn around and Look at Daddy.
There you go. Okay.
So we're here today because we wanted to offer a different perspective on the animal shelter.
Sure.
We started at the shelter in November. We are fosters. We have foster failed twice, actually. But these three, probably more two than the three, wanted to kind of stay in it and participate and continue to be involved at the shelter in different capacities because mama could not take another dog. So we're hooked, and the shelter is teaching them or reinforcing their kindness and compassion. It's teaching them to appropriately interact with dogs, something that a lot of kids don't know the boundaries and things of that nature. And it's also teaching them to give back to their community, which is just really important to me. So Adam, tell them what your favorite part about the shelter is.
My favorite part about the shelter is playgroup.
Playgroup. So playgroup is a really important part to the shelter in getting the dogs adopted. And while Adam is not old enough to participate. We watch from the side, and it is actually Adam's goal to be able to participate one day. Andy, what's your favorite part?
Petting the dog.
So Adam actually makes pup cups for the dogs, and we take them and they feed the dogs the pup cups. Adam has actually sold his pup cups and raised money for the shelter.
Nice, Adam.
Winnie would stop eating the podium. Winnie, what's your favorite part?
Playground.
Okay. So even though Winnie gave an answer, the shelter is not Winnie's favorite place. She's very honest about it. It's stinky. She doesn't love it. So I have to meet Winnie in the middle, and I have to do things that she loves and engages her. She's into art and Scene 75. Stop eating the podium. So she's a little outnumbered and kind of has to come with us. So we all know that there's a lot to fix at the shelter, and many of these issues are heavy and too complex for these little people and the other little people that come to the shelter. But I want to remind you that you have a whole team of people that want to see the shelter succeed. And we'll do whatever is possible to make that happen. I'm here today to ask you to fix them so that the next generation continue to care for the dogs and to be a part of the community. And that would include fixing the staffing problems, not just the numbers, but the toxicity. Hire an experienced director that can help get it back on track, and start implementing policies and best practices to follow them. And I'll let our friends speak more to that. So, and if anything, just do it for the next generation of little people that are going to be in this community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adam,
So with that, we're going to leave because they're not going to. Come on, kiddos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dad, thanks for bringing them. Who's next? Does anybody need to go? Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us your name and your address.
My name is Megan Dashley, 1672 Wilderness Ridge, Milford, Ohio. 56 days ago, we stood before you detailing the ongoing issues with Clermont County Animal Shelter. Many of these issues were not new, nor were the requests unrealistic. After 3.5 years of your control, the state of the shelter is in disarray, overcapacity, non-existent staff, and an unending list of facility needs unresolved and misappropriation of funding. Have any of you worked or volunteered in an animal shelter? Have any of you had experience with running a shelter? Within the past year, have any of you spoken or visited with neighboring county shelters to discuss their budgets, priorities, and/or assess where we can improve? Yes, we were here 56 days ago pleading for your help, but it didn't start with that meeting. Volunteers, the community, and the staff have emailed, called, and spoken with you directly, including staff meeting with HR. What's clear is the county lacks the basic understanding and knowledge of what truly needs to happen in order to run this shelter effectively. We're not asking you to become experts, but we are begging, if not demanding, for you to lean in and learn or discuss an exit plan. Animal welfare is not for the faint of heart. It takes a special individual to continue walking through those doors day in and day out with what we see. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and the insanity has to stop. Lives are at stake, and we need change, and we need results. What you failed to hear, see, or understand is the current conditions are inhumane and violate the American Veterinary Medical Association's 5 freedoms of companion animals. County management is currently obstructing the ability to order important medications, resulting in some of our most at-risk dogs being unmedicated cold turkey. Our lack of medical budget is unethical and inhumane, putting immense strain emotionally and physically on our one and only vet tech. The shelter lacks leadership, experience, and clearly defined management structure to hold individuals accountable and responsible for their actions. Due to staffing constraints, the dogs are only getting outdoors once per day, the last group often being in the heat for several hours. Morning clean isn't done until late afternoon and at times near close. With feces in their kennels, dogs are fed dinner and forced to sleep in the same place. The ceiling has what appears to be mold and mildew growing and could be a direct correlation as far as why 21 of our current dogs on site have had respiratory illnesses in the last 7 months, not including those that have gone to rescue, not including those that have been adopted. A $60,000 donation given to the county with explicit directions for its use has yet to be utilized after a year. And the estate attorney has also been told that the current wash tub we are using was purchased with the donation, which is false information. We are still waiting on the commercial washer and dryer, which was mentioned today. We still lack the restaurant-grade dishwasher specified with the estate donation, leaving staff and volunteers to wash hundreds of items by hand a day, which you see in those images. These dogs do not deserve this. The impact of your failed decisions is blatantly clear. The failure to hire and retain, reduced hours for the public, which has led to an 11% decrease in adoptions year over year, and misappropriation of funding has created a chain reaction and a perfect storm of illness, filth, negligence, and overall deterioration. More dogs than ever are getting sick and put in isolation, which means little to no human contact, zero interaction with dogs, and little to no time outside of quarantine. On July 20th and 21st, 18 dogs were put into isolation and quarantine. Extended isolation leads to behavioral and emotional deterioration and increases the likelihood of reactivity, bites, and euthanasia. Full-sized adult dogs living in pop-up crates in their own bodily fluids where they also eat their meals. What else do we have to say or do to prove to you and get answers and actions? You have made it abundantly clear that you do not have what it takes to run this shelter, nor are you willing to invest the money that is necessary to run one. Please hold yourself accountable and do what is right. Define a timeline for us to bid this shelter to a private entity. You failed the dogs of the past and the present, and I refuse to let you do it to the future.
Next. Oh, not at all. Go ahead.
I'm sorry I didn't do a PowerPoint. This was done just overnight, so I have one for each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. So my name is Paula Hayden. I live on 6203 Mallard Trace. It's ironic that the insanity is something you do over and over. So this is my third time here, and I must be insane. But I'm hoping that quote isn't true and that we can make some changes. So what I did is I handed out some photos to the commissioners and to Angie. And what I wanted to explain with that is so many people think that the workers at the shelter just go in and all they do is clean, which in many cases they do. But they're also dealing with medical issues. They have no time to work on training with the dogs. They have no time to walk the dogs. That's with the volunteers. So the pictures that I put out, I was told to try to be really specific. Instead of getting up here, I always get emotional. I'm not going to get emotional today. The number one picture is a picture that when I walked into the shelter one day, that's Karen. She's a German Shepherd. And her entire nose was torn off. So the septum was completely removed. I ran into the office. I said, I am taking her immediately to the emergency room. And they said, no, you're not. We sent pictures to one of our vets, and they said there's nothing that can be done about it. The first two pictures are Karen's nose. So after a couple days, I continued to take Karen out and fed her with a stick with a hot dog because her nose, the graphic would destroy you. And I finally sent an email out to Tim and to Lois at the time and Amanda and said, I am coming to pick up this dog. If you would please allow one of the workers to go with me because she's still on site. And they said, okay. So before then, I had showed my vet pictures, and she said, Paula, that's terrible, but bring her on in, and let's see what we could do. So we packed her up, Kat, who Karen was very good with, because Karen could be very reactive. So we brought her to my vet and worked on her while Kat and I were there. We picked her up and brought her back to the shelter. The third picture that you see is what Karen looks like now. So besides my vet being just amazing, there was hope for her. If a shepherd loses their nose, that's euthanasia right away, because they're a dog that just needs that sense of smell all the time. All dogs do, but especially shepherds. So I just want to let you know, I really believe if we had the money for that, they would have said to me, go ahead, take her right now. But I paid for it because there was no way I was going to let her suffer. I said I wasn't getting emotional, but here I go. The third dog is Amia, and she had surgery. And as you can see, there was seepage from the surgery, but I felt like immediately she should have been taken back to the vet to be cleaned or to be taken care of. She was adopted. The fifth one is Bonnie, and those are her paws. And because many dogs are in the shelter in their feces and urine, their paws will get infected. Some are more susceptible to that. And poor Bonnie's paws were so swollen. I actually brought her to my house for 3 weeks before she was euthanized, so that she could at least feel good. She obviously needed more medical attention. I think the finances were a big part of her not being able to get that. The sixth picture is of Lucky. Lucky was a shepherd we had in, very reactive. Only one of the workers would take Lucky out to urinate. Lucky was trained. Lucky would not go to the bathroom in the kennel. That's how great he was. So Chastity, who was a volunteer, would have to come out if she wasn't planning on it, just to get Lucky out so he could urinate and go to the bathroom outside of the kennel. That is why we need staff trained, so that everyone feels comfortable. Believe me, I'm some timid to get some of the dogs out, but they need to be trained so the Luckies of this world do not have to stay in their kennels for 24 hours because someone's afraid to remove them. Dogs are reactive, some of the dogs we have. The picture after that is of Lucky out of the shelter. Lucky was sent to Halo. Thank you due to Kim's organization, Rescue Me. And Lucky found a home with a family and another dog. And Lucky looks great now. And the last picture is Burke, who we're hoping gets out of there. Burke had, I think he cut his eye on one of the kennels that have now been fixed, but they're going to have to be, every year they're going to have to be taken care of. And he has blood seeping from his eye. So with that, I just want to let you know that what the workers see and what we see as volunteers, it's not just going in and cleaning up their kennels. We love these animals. We're dedicated. The staff is dedicated. And we do need more staff. And with that, what I want to ask or suggest, if a teacher walks in a classroom with 30 kindergarteners for the first time, how long do you think they're going to be a teacher? No. After about 10 minutes, they're going to head out the door, run to the principal and say, I am out of here. Takes training. Takes so much training. Thank you so much for hiring and getting, so we had a new vet tech come in. She came in half a day with, and sorry if I'm wrong with the exact times or days, but I believe the first day she came in, she was with Angie for a half a day. Angie is our present vet tech. She came in for a half a day. Then I believe she was there one day alone, and then Angie was going on vacation. This woman was never in that shelter, walking through the kennels, shadowing, like we do with every other job, shadowing a worker to see just what she was getting into. One day of that is going to show you who is caring for the animals, who is in there to make this place better. We have got to have a system before we hire, even the vet techs. Why don't we do the hiring at or doing the interviewing at the shelter so that they can spend part of the day working with someone and then going through the interview? Because I'm telling you, many of them will say, I really don't want this job. So instead of spending all of that time and all of our resources with interviewing, let them see what it's going to be like. It's for some people, it's not for others. Last thing, I know last time I rambled on, so I'm trying to, as far as money, we do not need 60 kennels outside. I hope before this project goes through that you could talk to some of us, some of the volunteers, some of the workers. We need a set of kennels for the isolation dogs so that they can come right out of their kennels and go outside. They do not go outside. They're in their kennels 24 hours a day. So we need a set where they can come out the door and go outside for part of the day. We cannot fit 60 kennels in the back. We don't need 60 kennels. That would leave us with 90 kennels. We don't have 90 dogs in there, and hopefully we never do. So let's talk about that before we send somebody out there to put 60 kennels in. And that'll cut down on money that may be able to be used for the medical care for the dogs and staffing. The last thing I want to say is, so Angie was in there the first time I met her, washing dishes, covered, sweaty. She comes walking around the corner and I wanted to introduce myself to her. I said, hi, Angie, I'm Paula. And the first thing she says to me is, why do we not have an industrial dishwasher? And I said, well, we've been trying to work on that for the last, couple years. That's going to help the workers spend more time with the dogs. That's also going to help with the bacteria and everything else that's spread. The dishes that come out are going to be sanitized, and they'll be able to put more and more and more in there as we go. So with that, I haven't cried and I'm not going to, but I'm asking that the county, I've lived here for over 30 something years. I love where I live. And I also love animals. I have 6 dogs and 3 cats. And when you talk about insanity, and sometimes I foster. So, yes, I'm insane, but I'm also in love with these animals, and I'm in love with our volunteers and our staff. And I hope we move this in the right direction. Thank you.
Next.
Hi, I'm Kim Bush, 5985 Katie Way, Milford. I kind of feel like, I don't know, like we just keep doing this over and over again, Groundhog Day. But the one thing that stood out to me is talking about the sunshade, the dishwasher, the washer and dryer, all these things that we talk about every time. And that is definitely where it feels like we just do the same thing over and over. And I don't know, I feel like I've been humored, maybe. I don't know if when I speak with someone, just don't humor me. Like, let's get things fixed. I don't know if anyone at the shelter knows there's a guidelines for standard of care in animal shelters, but we should sure be using it. Just a couple of things there. And I have actually sent this link in an email to some of you. I think you have that, or I can send it again. But one thing in there is that it's unacceptable to use cages or crates intended for short-term confinement as primary enclosures. And when you have dogs in crates and they're not getting out, maybe once for 15 minutes, then that would be their primary enclosure. Enclosures must allow animals to sit, sleep, and eat away from defecation and urination areas, and that is not happening. Indoor-outdoor access is ideal for most animals, and dogs should have the opportunity to hide within their enclosure. Housing should provide space, enrichment, and choice for long-term stays. And most of the dogs are long-term now because there are no adoptions happening right now. Some more things from those guidelines are pain must be recognized and treated to alleviate suffering. Bonnie would have suffered. She already did suffer. Bonnie suffered at least one night or two, Paula. I don't remember now. Or I'm sorry, Karen. Sorry. She was in there one night for sure.
Oh, no, she was in there that day, that morning that happened.
And was going to be left in there. Let's just put it that way. If we didn't have volunteers, I can't even imagine how bad it would be. I really can't, because the volunteers really do everything those dogs need. But to leave a dog that has her nose torn off would definitely not be called treating to alleviate suffering. That is not the same definition. Treatment protocols should be created by a veterinarian. We should have a veterinarian coming into the shelter. We do not have a veterinarian coming into the shelter. Frequent assessment of animals to determine pain relief should be happening, again, by a veterinarian. I know there's a staffing issue, although we have had a couple of issues with staff and a deputy dog warden that we've brought to attention and we haven't heard anything about yet. And that is not something we'll let go. So we do need to know that something's happening about those incidents that we've brought to your attention. Also, even with the staffing shortage, I know on June 7th, I made efforts to introduce a highly respected animal welfare professional who has been in sheltering for quite a long time, who is willing to consult under a contract for 1 year. And I know I've been told that, we have to be careful meeting with her because it could potentially exclude her from putting in a bid, but she's not interested in putting in a bid. She's interested in helping the shelter get back on their feet. And this is something that's not been taken serious, in my opinion. I actually set up a meeting and wanted to come to the meeting and bring her with me, and I was told she could not come to the meeting. So that is not using resources that you've been given. And as far as the new animal shelter, first of all, I feel like despite the support, the needs of the dogs appear to be consistently overlooked in the counting funding decisions. So all the help that you're given is still not, we just don't have the support and funding. But the current status of a petition that I put out a few months ago is 3,009 signatures. And those signatures have been collected for the petition of a new animal shelter. Now, I've been told a couple of times that we are not getting an animal shelter. Like, it's been very adamant that we're not getting one, but 3,009 so far, that's 3,009 people. And I know there's more than that in Clermont County, but we want a new animal shelter. The funds are going everywhere else on, these are live animals. I don't think anyone realizes it. And I also wonder, when we're so short staffed, why we don't have county employees volunteering at the shelter. And that's something else, is that the animals, they need volunteers, as I said, but staff should also be cross-trained. Staff should be cross-trained. There are times I've walked in there and staff is doing a great job, but desk staff seem bored. Okay, but there's dogs in the back, and maybe it's because they've not been trained to go in the back. Train them, cross-train. Wardens need to be in the back. Everyone needs to be in the back, and especially at least one staff person at all times. That's a liability. Volunteers are in the back by themselves all the time. Usually it's because staff wants to have lunch together, but you need to stagger those lunches. So yeah, we have to look at the shelter, because I know with holidays, already the dogs are in the shelter overnight from, the shelter closes at 4, but they don't get out at 4. So they're already in for 17, 18 hours, but on a holiday, they're in longer. Okay. Well, consider the shelter like you would consider a nursing home. People in a nursing home don't leave the people and say, well, I'm sorry, it's Christmas. You know what you're getting into when you work with live animals. They need people there. So these are things that I really, I'm asking again for you to take more seriously, but we definitely won't stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please tell us your name and your address.
My name is Roger Vogel. I live at 3635 South Hopper Ridge Road. It's in Pierce Township. Be honest with you, this is only the second time I've ever spoken in public, so apologize if I appear to be a little nervous today. The last time I spoke on June the 5th, I mentioned that I volunteer both at the shelter and also at the League for Animal Welfare on Taylor Road. The reason why I mentioned the League for Animal Welfare is that they are a local nonprofit shelter right here in Batavia. I would challenge each of the three commissioners and Angie, plus the new hire, whenever that person comes on board. Go visit the league, tour the premises, talk to the managers, talk to the staff, get an understanding how the shelter operates and what they do. The other reason why I mentioned the league is that they're open 34 hours a week compared to the county shelter that's only open 20 hours a week. The league is open Monday till 7, Wednesday till 7, 6 hours on Saturday, 5 hours on Sunday. We are only open Tuesday through Friday, 4 hours a day, 12 to 4. We are open 4.5 hours on Saturday. The fact that we're only open those hours means that we are open less time to the public, less opportunities for people to come in to foster dogs, look at the dogs, or adopt the dogs. Second thing I would like to talk about is a group of ladies who handle the foster and adoptions. There are 9 individuals. I'd like to mention their names. They are Jennifer Jacobson, Tracy Samuel, Megan Dashley, Joy Parker, Aaron Smith, Carrie Keller, Kelly Jakuzit, Megan Baldane, who spoke earlier, Chelsea Timome. These ladies, majority of whom work full-time, they spend personal time of their own, evenings and weekends. They contact prospective fosters and prospective adoptions. They have formulated on their own both processes and procedures, guidelines, questionnaires of how to manage the fostering and adoption activities. If you will note on the second page here, Cincinnati Care has a volunteer coordinator and a foster coordinator. I would strongly recommend that the county hire a full-time staff person to work with these 9 ladies to handle foster and adoptions. Because if you think about it, the only way that the dogs leave the shelter is either they get fostered, which means they go into a home, which gets them the heck out of the shelter, or they get adopted. The third thing that can happen, that Tracy Samuel, who is our rescue coordinator, she handles taking the dogs out of the shelter and getting them into other facilities. Just in the last 2 days, she has facilitated transferring 6 dogs out of the shelter over to the League for Animal Welfare. That frees up shelter space. That frees up dogs getting out of pop-up crates into a larger kennel. Next thing I'd like to talk about are 2 nonprofit organizations. The first of which is Kim's organization, Rescue Me Animal Advocacy. That is a nonprofit organization that relies on donations. Kim's organization pays thousands and thousands of dollars for medical and veterinary care for the dogs in the shelter. She also facilitates other organizations and other sheltering options to get the most needy dogs out of the shelter. I would strongly recommend that the commissioners provide some funding to her organization. The second organization is another nonprofit called Second Chance Dog Ranch. Second Chance Dog Ranch is run by a lady by the name of Alicia Noschang. Every week, she comes to the shelter and works with two volunteers, Chastity Pullen and Megan Dashley. She runs what's called a play group. She gets the dogs out of the shelter into the play group, which is on the back end of the shelter. The three ladies, they run behavioral assessments of the dogs, what the dog's needs are, and gives both the adoption and foster coordinators a better idea of what the dog's behavior is, what the dog's mentality is, and therefore can better match a dog into either a foster home or into an adoption home. I would also recommend that the county provides some funding to that organization, which is also a nonprofit organization.
Commissioners, would the board like to extend our public participation time? We're at 30 minutes. We would need a motion by the board to extend public participation.
Yeah, we'll do that. Board, you've heard the request to extend public participation. Do I have a motion to add that to the agenda first?
I'll make the motion to add.
I'll second.
Second, roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
And yes, and now I'd ask for a motion to approve an extension of public participation.
I'll make that motion.
And I have a second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran, Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Proceed.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Continue.
Sorry.
You give me just one more minute.
That's all right.
The volunteers are an integral part of the shelter. I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back or any other volunteer on the back, but I truly believe that the shelter would not exist going forward without the time and the dedication of the volunteers. I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
My name's Lynn Beatty. I'm 2994 Shallow Road, Bethel. I will help you get more signatures for a new animal shelter. We fought solar up in Bethel. We'll get more signatures. I'm appalled by this. I donate every Christmas to the animal shelter, and I am appalled to find this out. I've always rescued, or when it's time for us to get a dog, I've adopted a dog from either Brown County or Clermont County. Brown County by far outsteps you guys. You should be ashamed. You have a fiduciary responsibility. These dogs come from people who live in your area. They're not from outside. They're from your area. They're right here in Clermont County. So they're part of your people. They're furry, but they're your people. And how dare you let them get into this condition? I am shaking. I am so angry. We have horses, we have dogs, we have cats. If anybody was called for an animal abuse over that dog's nose, you'd have them cited, you'd have them in jail, or you'd have them a big fine, but not your own people. That is appalling. You should be ashamed. You should absolutely be ashamed. I plan on being there Sunday. I will be very active. You will see me a lot, I think. And I hope that we can work together because this is appalling. You should all be ashamed. Have you been over there? Have you gone through there? I worked for a vet for 10 years, and I'm taking everything I can to stop from crying back here. A vet is foremost the first person you should have on your hire list. That's all.
Thank you. We have a gentleman back there that stood up that didn't make it all the way up. Hold on just a minute. We had another person that walked all the way up behind there. He's still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, come on up.
No, I wasn't.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Hello. Andrew Stober, 2355 Rolling Acres Drive, Amelia, Ohio, Tate Township. Good morning, Commissioners, Mrs. Corcoran, Mrs. Batchelor, Mr. Painter. This is the third time I've come before you guys since September of 23. You guys should recognize my face. I own 11 acres, half in Monroe Township and half in Tate. And I've been waving a red flag about this piece of rental property owned by Edward and Zora Young with the Health Department since 2018. I've got some documents here if you want to read them. It's not all of them, but you want to pass these around. Pass those. So last week, I hired an attorney because I'm a little disappointed with the county's reaction to what I've been dealing with. So my attorney met with Mr. Young's attorney, and we met at the property, and we discovered raw sewage being diverted from underneath this mobile home on this rental property onto my property. I made a complaint with the Health Department April 30th of 2024 about raw sewage, and it took the Health Department 2.5 months to respond to said complaint and for them to investigate it. I was contacted by the Health Department for Mr. Sanders on Thursday, July 18th, confirming my complaint. I reported this intentional diversion on the 22nd of July, and then I called the Health Department again on the 23rd when I hadn't heard from him. I spoke to Robert Wildy, and he was not intending to come out and investigate this until I said I'd hang up and file a critical complaint. Every time it's rained since I made this complaint, and this has been going on since April or prior, that raw sewage flows through my property, down my driveway, into Ulray Run that runs down 222 that flows directly into East Fork Lake. So that means not only my family, my pets, and my guests have been affected by this, but everyone that swam in East Fork Lake since April or before. I feel that these complaints have fallen onto deaf ears. I still have felony drug traffic going on through my property to this rental property owned by the Youngs. I filed paperwork through the auditor's office to reduce my property taxes and value due to this activity. The county auditor's board of revisions agreed with me and reduced the value of my property by almost $50,000. In fact, they devalued it by $47,172 to be exact. And I know that you guys focus on economic development, and this is the exact opposite of economic development. All right, I filed a citizen's complaint affidavit that was suggested by Mr. Painter with the prosecutor's office to charge the owner with permitting drug abuse, and it was denied by the prosecutors even before they intentionally told me they wouldn't investigate it before I even filed it. I've since talked to Brian Schreiber. I've talked to Coolvey. And I've had another dead body associated with this residence in question on 125. It was either a suicide or it was a murder. Colored guy by the name of Robert Young was hit by 2 cars out by the fireworks store on 125. He'd been coming through my property, going to this rental property for 3.5 months. There's been 2 search warrants that resulted in the evidence of drug abuse on the first one, and then the recovery of methamphetamine on the second on 229 of 24. Had a DUI with an accident in Bethel where meth was discovered by one of the residents. Had prostitutes, homeless people, and countless addicts coming through my property to buy drugs. I had a pregnant girl who got caught in Brown County shoving methamphetamine up her private parts. She got charged with paraphernalia, and she got charged with tampering with evidence, and she was pregnant at the time. Since then, she's had the baby at Anderson Mercy, and she OD'd in the hospital. I've been contacted by CPS. CPS is taking care of this child. The people still live there. The landlord refuses to do anything about it. And I don't feel like the county's really doing anything about it. The people still live there, and there's raw sewage been flowing through my property straight to East Fork. And this is the definition of a nuisance property. I mean, this is the absolute definition of a nuisance property. I've had over 8 people arrested on my property from this property. I've had 2 dead bodies. I found 1.5 ounces of methamphetamine, 70 needles. When I contact the narcotics unit and I email them and I ask them why they're allowing this to occur on and through my property and at Mr. Young's residence, I get a thank you, have a nice day. When I contacted Mr. Wildy after he said that this sewage nuisance has been, alleviated, I asked him why it took 2.5 months to respond to raw sewage. 2.5 months, that's a long time. And you know what? I got no response from him. And it's been over 24 hours. And I don't think I'll hear back from him. Same way I don't think I'll hear back from the narcotics unit. But I'll challenge you guys to, instead of just taking notes, maybe spend 5 or 10 minutes, maybe come out to my property and see exactly what I deal with. Because this has been going on for way, way too long. I've been complaining to the narcotics unit and the sheriff's department for over 2 years since I found a dead body in my boat. And it has not stopped. I still have felony drug traffic. I've got people charged with rape, theft, domestic violence, coming 15 feet in front of my front door, right where this sewage is running down. I challenge you to do something because nothing's been done. This is the 3rd time I've been here. I do not like to be here. I do not like to come up and stand in front of all these people and tell them how upset I am. And it takes a lot for me not to start cursing and really tell you how angry I am that this is occurring. This is drugs that are going all over our community. We're talking about people that are getting DUIs for methamphetamine, people that are overdosing and dying, and it's happening through and on my property. I'm sending videos and pictures of the narcotics unit. 0. You guys fund the narcotics unit. You guys fund the sheriff's department. Sheriff Leahy hasn't called me back one time. I've called him 3 different times, never heard back from him. I realize Stratton's run unopposed, but at the same time, I'm getting no response. I get a thank you, have a nice day. I'm upset. I expect you guys to do something.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
My name's Nikki Potts. I live at 902 Carpenter Road in Miami Township. One thing I can guarantee, I've known Lynn Beatty for many years. She will not go away. It will get fixed. I can tell you that. And the problem with the shelter is you're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. What about our cats? What about our horses? What about our pigs? What about cows? What about any of the livestock? We don't have anything to do at all. My daughter just graduated from a bachelor's in animal science from the University of Findlay. They have a huge amount of college kids that come out, that are invited out to work on Hancock County's animal shelter. That's part of their grade, is going out there and working. Why don't we utilize some of these resources that we have? We have UC right here, Clermont. Why don't we bring some of these college kids out? Why don't we have them come help? We've got a jail sitting right next to us that are just, why don't we bring some of those people out? I know we have people in there for nonviolent crimes. Why don't we bring them out? Why don't we have them help? There's so many things that can be done to fix this quickly. And yet we just keep running through the same thing over and over and over. And it's not acceptable. It's just, there's no reason that the county should be going on like this. Kong has a program. All you have to do is reach out to them and they'll send you free Kongs. I mean, there's so many things that can be done. And we don't back up and look at other places. My daughter her first graduate just came through from Fort Paws for Ability. They have 125 dogs on site. 125. And you walk into that place and you have no clue there's dogs on the facility. And there's no reason for the dogs to be sitting in feces when we have these different places that we can go to get help. And it's not going to be anything that financially costs a penny. So, I understand, there's financial restraints and stuff, but why aren't we utilizing these services from people? Why? There's no excuse for it. They've got to do better. Or, I'm sorry, but you guys need to step down. That's exactly where it is. You either do better for the animals or, find somebody else who can.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead. Sure.
Hi, my name's Paul Coors with Ryan Homes, 8622 Jackwoman Drive. That's JACQUEMIN Drive, Westchester. I'm the land development manager for Ryan Homes, and little different topic for you guys today. First off, it's exciting to see Mr. Bloom come up and talk about upgrades in water, sewer, because we've done a lot of business in Clermont County. We love Clermont County. You guys have been very good to us. So it's great to say, hey, we got a great partnership here. That being said, I come today with a little question, little fact finding. In section 4 today of your consent agenda is the record plat for Barclay Woods, section 2. And part of Ryan Homes, we have a sales rep that sits in a model home and sells homes. And essentially, when we run out of lots, we are very expeditious in trying to get a next section recorded so we can continue to sell lots, and that commission-based sales rep can continue to make money. So that, needless to say, we are very expeditious about getting a Mylar in, submitted, things of that nature. And so we submitted the record plat for section 2 of Barclay Woods back on June the 17th. It was approved. I'm sorry, it was submitted on June the 17th, and it was sent to the commission on July the 11th to be placed on the agenda. So Craig Reisner emails me and Choice One Engineering and says, hey, it's been sent to the agenda, good to go. So I'm thinking it's the 11th. Oh, it'll be on the 17th for the agenda. 17th rolls around, it's not there. So I'm like, oh, it'll be on the 24th agenda. It's not on the 24th, so it's on for today. So my concern is, for planning's sake, for our business planning, is to understand why it takes so long for the plat to make it onto the agenda and then thus be signed, because there's still downstream effects of, just because it gets signed today, it's got to get recorded. I had to get parcel numbers. Then I go back to Goshen and get addresses. So all the while, that 20-day window turns into 30, 40 days, when in my mind, I'm thinking the PUD for this place was already approved back in, January of 22. So there's no public hearing. This is simply, we've gone through water, sewer, engineering, surveying, Goshen. Everyone signed off. So by the time it gets here, there's a bit of a log jam. So just my question is to help understand why the delay, why it takes long for a signature on a plat. And any way I can help, I'm willing to do. I'm here to say what I can do is whatever you need, basically.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Jonathan Hill, 1081 State Route 28, Milford. Hi. I volunteer at a few different animal shelters. And I don't say this to shame anyone. I don't say this to be hyperbolic or anything like that. The state of the animal shelter here is something that people at other shelters talk about. People drive across town to avoid volunteering there because it's heartbreaking. And I know you're good people. You probably have pets yourself. And there are pets out there that don't have good people to take care of them. They end up at Clermont County Animal Shelter. And there are dozens of volunteers who do their best to take care of, and there are staff there that do what they can with the little they have. And I want to extend all of them some kindness and grace, because I understand they're doing the best they can. But we have to do better. A lot of I know money's tight, and I know that things are hard, but I feel like if you came and you did a surprise inspection and saw the way these animals are living, it would break your hearts like it breaks all of ours. And I don't have the power to walk in. All of us volunteers would like to walk in and just start this, change this, new dishwasher, all of these things. We don't have that power. You do. So I'm asking you, go to the shelter, walk around, look at it, and ask yourself, if your pet was lost for just a few days, would you want your pet staying there even for a few days? Because that's what happens to these animals. And some of them stay longer and horrible things happen to them. And you have the power to change that. So that's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? With that, I will close public participation. Thanks for coming, and thanks for speaking your mind and speaking from the heart. And we usually don't comment. I will comment on a couple of things. I was at the animal shelter yesterday. I performed that walk around. I've looked at all the conditions that are associated with that animal shelter. It needs help. We'll get help. The second thing is that we've talked about money is tight. Money is not tight. This particular board and Clermont County has been blessed with funds that are available for this animal shelter. I myself, as a commissioner, I can't speak for any of the other commissioners. That would be inappropriate. I can tell you that there's never been a request that we haven't filled when it came to that animal shelter. We budget $1 million for that facility. If it took $1.3 million or $1.4 million, we have that kind of money in Clermont County. That's not something that's held here. We want the best for those animals and the best keep. I can tell you that you saw my frustration this morning when it comes to getting actual upgrades performed here, and that there are some constraints to that. There are other constraints to subcontract into people that you can just pay. Clermont County is a hiring entity, and they have to follow their procedures and HR requirements to actually recruit people. One of those recruitments is a background check, and the other recruitment is a drug test. Those things do have implications when it comes to hiring people. And all of those things, there's no excuse. I'm not giving you any excuse. We have people that are dedicated to that. If what it takes is resources at that animal shelter, I'm for those resources. We try to hire them. We put those ads out, in the local community and try to get people over there. Sometimes we're successful in the current hiring environment that we're in. It's tough. It's tough. It's not only tough here at the county. This county has 100 positions open throughout this county, not just at the dog kennel. People want to work a flexible schedule. Many don't want to take a job at 5 days a week, to come into work. And all of those things have a detrimental effect. If you check all businesses across Ohio and across the counties, you'll find that everyone has that same challenge at getting people because of the competitive environment that we're in. I would address just a couple of things. I've already told you that budget is not a problem here. There's been no misappropriation of money here. Whatever monies that were actually given to the shelter are here and available. The original $60,000 is available. That's in the budget. It's never moved from the budget. It is earmarked for that purpose, for the purposes that you said. And we have an open transparency program here called Munis. You are welcome to go right on the auditor's website and take a look at any of that. You can see any check that's written here in Clermont County, any subcontract that was ever put in place, and any budget and any appropriation that's available. So with that, I'll close public participation and we're going to move on with the agenda. Thank you so much for coming today. Unless one of the other commissioners has a comment you'd like to make.
I think you said it well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You want to take 10 minutes?
Get done.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. We will move on with item F, which is a consent agenda. Board, you've had the consent agenda early, had the opportunity to review it. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further consideration?
No.
None? Then I'd ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, that disposes of the consent agenda, and we will move to the non-consent agenda. Non-consent agenda starts on page 4 with item number 11. Item number 11 is a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 093-24 to approve payment to vendors in the total amount of $1,667,592.06, as outlined in the BCC approval invoice report for checks dated July 31st, 2024, BCC directed prepaid invoice reports, and the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 7/29/24, and further authorizing the auditor to issue warrants pursuant to section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do you have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 12 is County Sheriff. Afternoon. How are you?
Almost.
You just had to say that, didn't you? Was there a purpose for that?
He's hungry.
I know.
Item 12 is a recommendation to execute the Fourth Amendment to the professional services contract between the Board of Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio, and Axon Enterprises Incorporated, 17800 North 85th Street, Scottsdale, Arizona, a sole source provider for the provision of 24 additional law enforcement body-worn camera seat licenses for a total increase of $149,782.52 for the period of June 2024 through August 2027, with all terms and conditions to remain in full force and effect in compliance with Section 307.86 B1 B2 of the Revised Code, and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order, with dates of increase of September of 2024, the amount of $44,659.93, August 2025, $51,530.68, August 2026 at $53,591.91.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 12. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Item number 13 is a recommendation to award the bid and execute a contract for the Adult Detention North replacement between the Board of County Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio, and Diversify Plus LLC DBA Epoxy SI 5792 Stair Route 128 Cleves, Ohio, for the removal of remaining tiles and adhesive, concrete polish, and application of a clear coat concentrate sealant to the floors in the Clermont County Adult Detention Center North Housing Unit for their lowest and best bid received on May 23rd, 2024, in the amount of $257,350 to be paid for with American Rescue Plan Act funds, noting the acknowledgement by the contractor of the extension for the award of the bid, with services to be complete within 365 days of the contractor's receipt of signed contract and notice to proceed from Clermont County Adult Detention Center, and in compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract and contingent upon the release of the purchase order.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation?
No.
Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Item number 14.
This is a recommendation, item number 14, to execute subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio, and the following two political subdivisions to administer projects within the CDBG program for various years in compliance with the terms and conditions of the agreements as outlined below, and contingent upon the receipt of the required purchase order. These are two projects previously approved by this board. The first one is subrecipient is Miami Township Board of Trustees. The project is the Miamiville Trail ADA Access Project. These are with CDBG CV funds, coronavirus funds. Funding amount is $120,000. Contract term from 6/1/2024 through 12/31/2025. Second project is an agreement with the Ohio State University. This is for the demonstration gardens and food science lab at the OSU Extension. The funding amount is $82,000. Contract term 7/31/2024 through 9/30/2025.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Jesse.
Item number 15. Thanks, Desmond.
Hi, Jesse.
Item number 15 is the recommendation to reject all bids received on June 6, 2024 for the replacement of 5 generators located at the Clermont County and Northern Kentucky tower sites in compliance with Chapter 307 of the Ohio Revised Code relative to the terms and conditions of public bidding, and to approve the request to re-advertise for bids for the replacement of 5 generators located at the tower sites pursuant to the specifications, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in the newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, August 8th, 2024, with bids to be received until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, August 29th, 2024, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, where they will be publicly open and read aloud. This notice will also be posted on the county's website.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Jess, are these because the bids were outside the range, the competitive range?
I think there was a paperwork issue with
Okay.
all the bids.
Okay. Nothing further? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran. Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thank you. Item 16, Suki.
Morning, Suki.
Morning, board.
Afternoon, Suki.
Almost.
Close.
All right, let's do this. Item 16, it's a recommendation to adopt resolution 09424. This is authorizing the county engineer to settle and process payment of third-party property damage claims on behalf of the board in an amounts not to exceed $1,000 that may result due to damages in our daily operation. Occasionally, our mowers will throw things.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 16. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Anything further? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 17.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello,
Terry.
commissioners. I have no idea what time it is. I have a recommendation to amend Appendix 4.09 of the Clermont County Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual with respect to the Clermont County Classification Plan to amend the title of engineer, class number 79295, pay range C, to engineer 1 with the same class number and pay range, and to add the position of engineer 2, class number 79296, pay range D, and further to authorize and update the appropriate internet links and appendices accordingly.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 17. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and second. Anything further? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 18.
Morning.
Morning. Hey, Bruce.
Recommendation to adopt a revised table of organization for the Clermont County Community and Economic Development Building Inspection Division to amend the engineers to be filled with, the engineer position to be filled with either as engineer 1, class number 29296, pay range C, or engineer 2, class number 29296, pay range D, as outlined in the above and in Exhibit A. Attached thereto to be part of, effective upon approval, and authorize the update of the appropriate internet links and appendices accordingly.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 18. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Anything further? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thank you. Item number 19.
Now it's the Lyle show.
Yep.
Can't get rid of me.
Oh, yeah, we can. Sorry, Lyle. I'll bring out my age.
It's a tough crowd. It's a tough ground.
Item
After
19.
today?
Item 19 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 095-24 to certify delinquent utility charges in the amounts of $7,675.05 for water charges, $17,477.83 for sewer charges, and $2,015 for miscellaneous utility charges to the Clermont County Auditor for placement on the real property tax list and duplicate of Clermont County as a lien against the property served by such connection as identified in the attached exhibit. This is pursuant to in compliance with section 6103.02 and 61.1702 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 19. Do I have a motion to approve?
It's gonna make me pay these now? I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Anything further? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 20.
Item 20 is a recommendation to accept the following grant of permanent water easement with rights of reentry for repair and replacement. It will be granted and conveyed to Clermont County by the grantor as outlined below for utility purposes, and this is for project number 6401-60221 for the Harold Road Water Main Extension Project located in Batavia Township, and to authorize the county auditor to remit payment as compensation for the permanent easement and right-of-way granted. The grantor is Viola M. Seibert for property at 2515 Harold Road, and this will make 2 of the 6 easements that we need to construct the project.
Board, you heard the reading of item number 20. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 21.
Item 21 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 096-24 to authorize Thomas J. Eigel, the county administrator, to execute an application for financial assistance for aid to local government for infrastructure improvements for support of the following infrastructure improvement project for fiscal year 2026 in the amount outlined below, or such other amounts as may be awarded to the Ohio Public Works Commission, including all understandings and assurances required, and to authorize the certification and submission of said application for project support as outlined pursuant to and in compliance with Chapter 164 of the Ohio Revised Code. And we're submitting the White Oak Road Water Main Phase 2 project for a grant amount of $1 million.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 21. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 22.
Item 22 is a recommendation to execute an extension of contract for professional services between the board and Strand Associates Incorporated out of Cincinnati, Ohio. This is previously ratified by the board on June 15th, 2022 for the wastewater model maintenance project for an additional 2-year period through June 14th, 2026, and an additional amount not to exceed $50,000 with all other terms and conditions of the original contract to remain in full force and effect and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. So this is our sewer model that we have similar to our water model. We did an extension a couple weeks ago where they can run what if scenarios, determine available sewer capacity, and help us plan for our capital improvements.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 22. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 23.
23 is a recommendation to award the bid for maintenance and repair of the water and or wastewater systems and appurtenances for the Clermont County Water Resources Department pursuant to the specifications to Utter Construction Incorporated out of Bethel, Ohio, for their lowest and best bid received on June 20th, 2024, for a total estimated annual amount of $1,633,667.40, and to execute the contract effective August 25th, 2024 through August 24th, 2025, with the option to renew for an additional 1-year period upon the same terms and conditions in compliance with the terms and conditions and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. So we publicly bid this contract and open bids. We had 2 contractors that bid. Utter Construction was the lowest. They've had this contract for several years now. They continue to do a good job for us. They're actually out on Rumpke Road doing the water main break repair for us this morning. So,
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 23. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Been moved and second. Anything further?
That was number 5. What's your record?
oh, that's
Okay.
definitely not.
I'm trying to keep count. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll start a
Yeah, tally.
Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Thanks, Lyle.
Thanks, Lyle. Thanks for the presentation this morning. It's a good job.
Yeah.
Item number 24. Chris?
Hi, Chris.
Jessica?
I'm going to wait a couple seconds and it'll be good afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. If we waste your whole morning, right?
This is a recommendation to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute change order number 12 to the contract with Monarch Construction Company at 164 Sherman Avenue Cincinnati, Ohio, for the construction of the Filiger Campus Improvement Phase 1 project, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on 5/31/2023, and subsequently amended and outlined below with a net increase, excuse me, in the amount of $55,871.44 for a total adjusted contract price in the amount of $18,687,602.64 as described therein, in compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. Excuse me. So a couple of them on here. We decided to lump quite a few of them together to be able to come to the board at one time. We'll just kind of go through them. Electrical revisions. There's a couple of panels and stuff that were decided they need to be moved, which they ended up moving at a no cost for us. Providing sheet metal enclosures to walls, perimeter of the mezzanine. So up on the mezzanines, we had exposed insulation. This is to cap those and keep that insulation inside the walls. Revise air compressor scope. This is twofold, one for half side of the engineers, the other half for fleet. So fleet actually supplied a air compressor, so that was a deduct. And then the air compressor on the engineer's side, they actually had quoted a different type than what the engineers had requested. So that change, it kind of offset. There was an add and a deduct at the same. Installation of fleet maintenance air and electrical drop overhead. So this was actually twofold. The fleet department wanted to have their air and electrical drops down by their lifts. However, at the same time, the contractor did not put the electric in the floor like they were supposed to. So it almost kind of worked out, but there's a no cost change on that. Provide required bollards for protection. This is around our generators. Any generators that are set on top of a tank are required to have bollards for protection. Reduce the size of column wraps. This is inside of the engineer's admin area, if you will. There's beams and stuff, posts come up. Those have to be wrapped. Those are made smaller to make those more aesthetically pleasing. Revise the additional gate. There was a gate added at the request of the engineers. However, that gate that was spec'd was actually a twofold open manual, and this one actually is going to be a slider. It's going to be better for the long term. Provide soil remediation. So this was a undercut at the actual entrance. So when you drive into the new complex, there was a spot maybe 10 foot by 20 foot that was not suitable for laying asphalt. That had to be, taken out and then get soil stabilized. Provide metal coping cap at the dumpster wall. So there's a wall that goes around the dumpsters. That just has a concrete wall block, if you will, that has a cap that goes around to keep water and bugs and pests and birds and everything else out.
That it, Chris?
That's it.
Or you've heard the reading of item number 24 for this change order execution. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion?
Just got to do the whole walkthrough, so I'd like to thank you, Jessica. And I looked at each one of these items and I understand what you're doing on it. They're doing a fantastic
Coming along
job
nicely.
on that. It looks great. Thank you. Thank you for all your work.
And do we still think the schedule is?
So we had our meeting this past Monday, and they are still on schedule for a September 30th is what they're saying, but they are working to push that up. So we'll get an updated schedule here within the next week or two.
With the grading that's going on and everything, it's starting to really look like a
Started
finished
to get some
product.
fencing up. Yeah, the tanks are in for all of our fleet and all the gas pumps and that type of stuff. So yeah, it's really looking like, if you want a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like when it's done, you can go down and look at it now.
That's great.
And just for the people that might view this is phase one.
Phase one.
Obviously, there's a couple other phases to this project.
We have a phase 2 and 3. So phase 2 is going to be bringing the engineers from up on the hill off of Clermont Center Drive down to the corner of Filiger and East Filiger. That building will also contain facilities management. That would be phase 2 part of that. Phase 3 will actually be moving right now facilities and CTC share a building. That will be splitting CTC off into their own area next to their bus parking lot now where the existing salt barn sits. So it'll get them closer to their lot.
There's still a lot more revision and a lot more construction to be done on the Filiger campus.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you. Gail, roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, that concludes our current consent agenda. Do we have any additions to that agenda, Tom? Or non-consent, I should say.
Not at this time.
Not this time. Then I would ask for a motion for executive session pursuant to section 121.22 G1 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, or compensation of one or more public employees.
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved.
I'll second the motion to go
And
into
second.
executive session.
Yep. Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will move into executive session. We will return and conduct further business. Thank you. Have returned from executive session. There were no decisions made and no actions taken. We'll move on with our regular agenda. We are down to member comments, but I understand that staff members may have some comments they'd like to make. Angie?
Commissioners, I did want to ask how you would like me to proceed as far as preparing a motion and resolution for the temporary reduction of adoption fees. We did this back in April for a few weeks. We dropped the fee. It's usually $120 plus dog registration fees for dogs aged 12 months and older, and we dropped it to $60 back in April.
Board, do you have a preference conversation?
Angie, how many dogs do we have up there right now?
I believe it's around 71.
But-
Ideally, I think it'd be around 55.
But if we do this and it helps get these dogs a home and get them out of the shelter, I'm all in favor of the reduction in the fee.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And it'll be second. So the motion that's on the table is that we are going to reduce adoption fees from the current $125,000 $125 down to $60 for an
120
adoption
to
fee.
60 plus the dog registration fee.
And what's the duration that we're asking to do this for?
I would ask for the month of August.
Yeah.
Month of August?
Yes.
The board, do you want us to prepare that paperwork and bring it back to the board next week for consideration?
Yes,
That's fine.
please.
Is that the motion? Okay. I just want to make sure. So we'll get everything prepared. And so $60 is the number.
Yes.
Okay.
So there is no motion.
No, there's a motion to prepare it.
Okay, motion to prepare.
Is that your motion, Monty?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Move on.
Okay.
Got
It's
it?
been second. Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. So we
Commissioners,
will.
We'll have that prepared for you next week.
Okay. Good. Great.
And that's all from a staff discussion standpoint.
Okay. Moving on. Members, any member comments? Board members? Lively public discussion today. Although sometimes, information is tough. It's good to hear from the public and, especially when there's those that are passionate about a particular situation. So we thank all the people who came today and discussed the challenges that I know we all have at the animal shelter. We will continue to try to do the best job that we can with that. Anything else? Oh, you have a couple guests here today that need to be introduced. If you would do those, sir.
Council is here today, so I can let them introduce themselves and see if they have any comments or.
The podium is yours. Tell them who you are and where you're from and what role you play here at.
Thank you, board. My name is Ryan Spitzer. This is Aaron Glasgow. Obviously, we're the board's outside legal counsel from Isaac Wiles in Columbus. Don't have any comments, but happy to answer any questions and happy to be back again. It's been a few months.
You bet. Good to have you here today.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you for coming.
And Commissioners, just a quick comment. Commissioner Boucher reminded me with the information about the gentleman that was here about public health and the sewage. Our understanding, we talked to the public health department that the issue has been corrected.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that it was corrected. And we did talk to the health department about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing nothing else, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, that concludes our meeting for July 31st, 2024. We thank you for attending. And if there is any information that you need from the Clermont County Board of Commissions, don't hesitate to call the office, 513-732-7300. Thank you.